All right. Back again. Let's do this. So, and let's have some fun. I'm a little more awake. Actually, I just woke up from a nap, which is probably why this is at like 7 instead of around 6 o'clock when I'm usually trying to get this done. And so I'm a little more awake. Here it looks kind of funny. There you go. I posted I've actually been working on it for a while. It's not one of the earlier parodies that I've worked on, but I put it in the list, and then I kind of wanted to take the Beatles song Blackbird, which I absolutely adore. And I know the symbolism, and I know the meaning behind, the song and what it means. And I didn't want to strip that out. The actual, what the meaning was, but I kind of wanted to update it. I think even I never really understood the importance of the song and what it means, and even the symbolism of it. The truth is, I've always known. I knew what it was about. I know what he was singing about. The integration of schools here in America, and the thing about singing about civil rights at the time is that I think when I sing that song that was what people were going through then, not now. And there are definitely integrations. And I almost hate that term. I almost hate the fact that we even have to talk about how unfair the treatment of redlining and all the other stuff that happens, especially for immigrants, and some mostly just based on people's skin color, not on their abilities, not on who they are. And yes, there's been some strides. It's not illegal for interracial couples to marry. Those things. And the fact that they'd have to specifically say interracial, it's how I feel about people who have the label of being homosexual or being queer or being just different. And it's they get that label from a place of hate, is how I've always felt like it. The reason that they're labeled is so that they can be separated. It's why I hate labels. I hate boxes people put, I hate the boxes they put me in. And I am, considered a white male, which is the big, huge, high privilege section of it. And I've always kind of poo-pooed and dismissed my privilege because of it. Because if everybody doesn't have it, I don't want it. Which is kind of weird when I start talking about being an individual and being who you are and stuff like that. And here I am saying, if I'm not sharing this, if you're taking somebody out of my competition or whatever it is based on the skin color or the culture that they come from or their beliefs, their religious beliefs and not their abilities and not what they can actually do, I'm lesser for it. I'm not being challenged by something that could actually challenge me, something that will actually make me work harder to achieve my goals, whatever my goals are. My goals could be as simple as walking down the street, but if that's my goal, something like that could challenge me. If I was a person of color, now I hate, like I said, it's a label, but if I was a person of color and, walking down the street could be a whole host of landmines that I never have even experienced. I don't know what it's like. I don't know what it's like to be a woman. I don't know what it's like to be Black in America. It's one of the reasons why, even though it's a label, I support the Black Lives Matter movement wholeheartedly, without reservation. I know that there is some players in it. It's, to me, I don't see it as like religion, where an entire mass of people who basically go against what the faith is teaching. And even the preachers are teaching this bad message, a message of hate. When that's why I don't like a lot of religions, because somewhere you have these bad players. But with the Black Lives Matter movement is concerned, even if there are people of ill faith, ill intent, I should say, towards it, or using it as the platform for their jumping off of hate into a whole nother realm, I think that it's necessary. It's not just necessary because people are getting killed, and that is very important. George Floyd is very important. Breonna Taylor is very important. Everybody who's been murdered by the police, literally because of the color of their skin and how they treat, and the fact that mothers have to teach their children to not just be wary of strangers, but also to be wary of the authority. The symbol of protection, the symbol of serving the public. There is an entire generation and group of people they're not just weary of the police. They're afraid of the police. They're afraid. Parents are afraid the police are going to take their children's lives. And time again, that fear is proven correct. And people should not have to live in fear, ever. Not now, not ever. Not even for a moment. People should just never have to live in fear. I always call it the airport syndrome. Bombs are going to get put on planes. Terrorists are going to do horrible things. They're few, they're far between, and the people and the groups that are targeted, what they go after is not people who are a threat. They're going after people who basically have no ill intent whatsoever. The majority of people who fly on planes, I could probably say a statistic of 99.9% on the majority of people that fly on a plane have no ill intent whatsoever towards the flight, towards anything. They just want to go whatever their starting point is to their destination, and that's it. That's all the plane is. That's all the plane is there for. It's not to be flown into buildings. Even like speaking about that, I remember being very upset. I bought a letter opener in Ireland. It looked like a knife, but not even pointy or anything like that. It was your standard letter opener. It was sealed in plastic wrap and in a box. And it was not going to be on carry-on luggage. It was going underneath in the bowels of the plane, and I almost had to leave it. I flew out of London. Almost had to leave it in London. And I was thinking, like, my God, the security at this time is so harsh. It's so tight. It's so, it's just almost unnecessary in my mind. I got back on a Monday, and that was the 10th of September. And then, of course, on the 11th of September, the towers went down. And the towers went down because a group of people came on planes with box cutters and took control over the plane with box cutters. And my only thought was, how in the world, when I couldn't even take toothpaste, I couldn't even take travel size mouthwash, how in the world did they allow these box cutters? I used to have, I long since, because I flew a lot, I long since took my Swiss Army knife. I used to have it on a keychain. Used to be as part of my keys. Used to have a Swiss Army knife. I long since left that at home. In fact, I don't even know where it is. That's how, we're talking, 30 odd years ago. I am angry is weird, but when I think about, like, who's now being targeted, and the actual threats are not being stopped by the TSA. The actual threats are being stopped well before that, and some threats are actually getting past it and even onto the plane, and then they're being stopped there. So this screening thing, like, literally, it is the facade of security. It's the fakeness of feeling secure. And I'm not saying that there isn't a purpose for it, and I'm not saying metal detectors don't do anything. They're important. This is where we are. It's to keep the honest people honest. But it's definitely not to stop real threats. These things couldn't handle a real threat. That's the problem. 9/11 proved that a real threat cannot be stopped, and that's a hard thing to say, because people will say that, I was like going, if people have the resolve, they can do. It's not out of the question of what damage they can do. I would encourage anybody in all the world to see the actions that they are taking and saying, and ask yourself, whatever it is you're doing, it can be anything, the full spectrum. Is this done out of love? Is this done because I want to make the world better? Is this action I'm about to take going to improve not just my life, but the lives of people around me? And if anything that you say, if there was any doubt, any maliciousness, and I here I am saying, like, how you But it's me. I have to ask myself that question. I have to say, are these things that I'm doing, am I doing it out of love? I hate things. I wish ill upon things. I have to stop myself from taking action against those things because I have to stop. Because by my doing this, it's not going to improve my life. In fact, it has been proven to me time and time again, revenge and everything like that, has only had an ill effect on my life, not a positive one. Hatred, Maya Angelou is so right. Hatred does not solve problems. If you want the problem to continue, if I want the problem to continue, I will continue to hate. That is literally what hate is for. I would never tell somebody because I can't do it myself, which is the reason why I would never tell somebody to basically blindly love, blindly be taken advantage of, blindly, this. I mean, I get taken advantage of constantly. So I know exactly what that feels like. I know what it feels like when it's happening to me in real time right now. This isn't something that's going on since it's been going on since I was, in grade school, but I'm not talking about stuff that happened when I was a kid. I'm talking about stuff that's happening to me now in real time today. It's happening. People take my kindness and my willing to help and my willing to be, to this as a given. They expect it from me. And they get mad when I don't give it. They get absolutely almost violently mad at me when I don't give it. But it's like, you don't give me. I get nothing in return. It is a complete and total waste of time for me to deal with certain people in my life. And like I have no expectations on others, I expect them to have no expectation on me. It's a gift. You should be grateful. You should be grateful that I'm being helpful. You should thank me for it. You should say, thank you. Thank you for being here and helping me. I don't expect you to say that. I will do what I can. But when it interferes with my life, I don't give it. And in turn, even when people do thank me, if it will make my life more difficult to be helpful, I'm not helpful. Don't expect it. Be grateful when I do give it. Because if you're not expecting it from me and I give it, it's going to improve your life. That's how I look at it. It's exactly how I go through life right now. People's word. Speaking about what I expect and what is happening, the reality of it. In general, a person's word to me means nothing. When somebody tells me, makes a promise to me, the first thing I do is I think that they're full of shit. Even if I've known them, even if they're family, even if they're blood related to me, I think that it's not going to happen. I don't even expect any follow-up or any. I have no expectation at all, because when it does happen, sometimes it does happen. Sometimes people are good on their word. When it does happen, I'm pleasantly surprised. I hate surprises, so it turns out to be that is the only surprise that I like. I like to be pleasantly surprised. I want to be surprised that way. But my expectation is zero. I expect nothing. I expect nobody to help me. I expect nobody to offer their hand in support or anything like that. If I have a flat tire on the side of the road, I expect nobody to pull over. And not to be that guy, but 9 times out of 10, nobody pulls over. Every now and again, maybe even more than that. Like here I am using statistics, and we know what Mark Twain said about statistics. Three kinds of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. So, more often than not, it's very rare that I will receive help. It is very rare that if my car breaks down or if I'm in an accident, that calling the police, I just know that from there on in, my day is ruined. Because no matter how fast they are when they get on the scene, them getting to the scene, I have no expectation of. They'll get to the scene when they get to the scene. When they get there early, I'm pleasantly surprised. When the tow truck shows up right away, I'm pleasantly surprised. But do I expect it? No. One of the things that happened in my youth, I had a lot of cars that broke down. I had been in a lot of accidents. I've been, and I used to travel a lot. And one of the things that has never failed me, one of the things that I've always relied heavily on, is my 2 legs. When I got into trouble like that, I would walk. I would walk for miles. I would walk for days. I would walk and walk and walk. And I bring that up because my car just broke down, and luckily I was able to limp it to the auto shop, but I had to walk home because they were closed. I did not get a rental car like I normally would. I walked home, and because I didn't get a rental car, I couldn't work today, and I needed the day off actually. So I'm not gonna not to say what I need and what I don't need, but Mondays at my job are freaking just absolute hell, and I'm already working. I already worked Sunday, and to step into somebody else's mess at a different office is not my idea of fun. So I'm going to that office tomorrow, and I'm going to that office tomorrow, and hopefully it'll be easier. Or they left me everything for Monday. I don't know. Whatever they did and whatever they do to help me out, I'm just going to do what I can and get my job done and go home. Because I've been through this whole thing where Sean cleans up, and I'm not that guy anymore. My job doesn't love me. My job does not take care of me. My job does not have my interest in mind. Why the fuck would I care about them? Pay me. Pay me. That's how you get work out of me. Pay me. Making me drive, 100 miles is not my idea. And just so you know, all that driving I did the week before and the continuously just pretty much abuse on the car that I've been doing, That's one of the reasons why it kind of crapped out and just basically said enough's enough, because I was basically just wearing it down. Constant driving. And I love dogs, but I don't, people who can't, train their dogs to not do that, I don't understand. I understand that you're using the barking to ward off strangers, but people are allowed to walk on the sidewalk, and you're not. That's an improperly trained dog. That's why I have cats. Lost my train of thought because of the dog bark. But yeah, the let me try to get back on track. Something I don't. It doesn't really matter. I'm just gabbing here. I clipped out two things. I got my trailer up. I don't even know if the joke is funny or if it's landing, or what people even think about it. There's not been a single comment on it yet. It's like my tweets are getting a lot more recognition and love, and some of them are pretty just silly quips. Just notice me. And I hate to do it like a business and think of it like a business, because I don't, when I'm doing it, I was never a big tweeter. I was not a big use of Twitter. I really don't even like the format of it. I don't like how it's set up. I don't like how it's hard to follow threads for the other people I follow. I was never really big on it. And so basically I've been kind of forcing myself to pay a little bit more attention to it. That's time consuming. And paying attention to Twitter and commenting, because it's what I want. It's what I want on my site. And so if I want that on my site, I should be giving it to other sites. I mean, that's how I have to be the example. That's what I'm doing. I'm the example of what I want as a person who's a viewer on my channel. And I called it a site again, and freaking one of these days I'm going to remember. I remember when I was writing a parody for the second King George parody about Nux, and I called it a site twice. I actually typed in site. In fact, I was trying to think of a rhyme for site, and I was just like going, oh yeah, there's fight, and there's light, and there's foresight and hindsight and all those things that I could have used. And then I was like, oh, it's a channel. This is a channel on YouTube. YouTube is the site. But on the YouTube site, I am one of their channels. And I I keep screwing that up. I can't tell you how many times I screwed that up. But yeah, I screwed that up in that song, and I had to actually then try to rhyme with channel, and I was freaking like, what in the hell? Mantle, maybe? I think I came up with a really, really good thing because the JoJo reference with the world though. And see, the world though does not really rhyme with channel. I just said it so that they rhymed. Handle, maybe? Channel handle. Something like that. I don't. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. I've been, cruising Twitter and cruising people's sites and making comments and liking and doing all the things that I know. I've been on Twitch constantly. Sometimes I have multiple Twitch channels open, so I can comment on them. And I like. See, this is the weird thing. I like the interaction. I like being quippy. I like being funny. I like being all those wonderful things. I like having the ability on some of those places where I can say I'm having a bad day, and I know that there are people that are going to basically, give me hugs and all those wonderful things that make me feel better. Though that's the things that I like doing, and I wish I could just have those things and be able to do everything else. But it looks like in order to do everything else is what I'm doing. It's a little overwhelming, and I'm a Luddite. I'm not, you don't see me with my art pad and, drawing online and stuff like that because I don't, it's not one of my talents. I'm a practical effects artist. I'm a practical sculptor. I'm a literally practical artist. I like to be able to choose, have physical pens. I like reading books. I don't like reading things online. Reading things online is a chore for me. I do it because, I think that I'm falling behind in the world. But, I still print out all my, my lyrics instead of like having them here. I could have them here on the screen. I could send those lyrics over and literally have them set aside on the screen, so that I could read them. That wouldn't be too difficult to do. No, it wouldn't be difficult at all to do. It would be actually relatively easy to do it that way, and I still don't. It's almost like I'm absolutely refusing to do that. And I don't know why. And I probably should not continue to print up my lyrics, but I like it. But I should, maybe one of these days I'll put my lyrics next to the video, and I do keep the video full screen so I can read the lyrics and stuff like that, but I don't need it. It can be smaller. Not like my eyesight's still pretty good, and if I need glasses, I'll get glasses. If I need contacts, I'll get contacts. To continue on. Everything you adapt, overcome, and move forward. So, but that's one of the things that I struggle with, is because it's like me trying to set up a fake picture-in-picture. I think it's awesome. I think, there's a lot more you can do. I think there's a lot more I can do with a picture in picture. I have seen what it looks like, and I have seen what it looks like filmed too. What a video would look like on this wall right here. On this wall right here. That's where I had the wall. I mean, still there. I have, I have a big white wall to put the picture in picture in. I have seen what it looks like, and it looks like shit. I have to keep the lights. I'd have to wait till the sun sets because even with the curtains, there's too much light coming in from the outside. Which for now, because I keep the curtains open, when I'm making these videos, that looks awesome. But I have to, in order for that, I'd have to only film at night. I have to keep all the lights out except for a light on me, because if I don't put a light on me, I get washed out in the video. And to do the things that I want to do, which is look up to the board and, basically be doing like this and saying, oh, this, or actually I'll be in this corner. I'll be doing this. Would I be in this corner? I'll be in this corner. Yeah, I'll be doing this. Be pointing out things that come up on the screen. And that's great. I think that's an awesome thing to have. People who have picture in picture can't stand up into their own video, obviously, because they're a picture. They're being filmed in this little caption in the bottom, even though they have a transparent background because they're green screen. They still can't go beyond where the camera goes, and it includes VTubers. They still can't go beyond a certain point. That's what I liked about doing the projection of the videos and stuff like that. This camera is shit. It's if you saw somewhere out there, it dropped out 3 times right in the beginning. Spared you my seeing, but it dropped out 3 times. And I went back to look at the video, and the original video itself dropped out 3 times. So, I mean, it's not the fact that I made the recording of it. It's the fact that it just dropped out 3 times. The camera just cut out. Now, I do have better cameras, and I am tempted to switch to them. One of the reasons why I'm using the Chromebook, the crappy computer, to make all my videos, as opposed to using my, I have another laptop as my main computer, which I originally bought for the purposes of recording film, editing film. That's what it was for. It was to be there when I'm filming, and I can do dailies immediately. That's the reason why I originally bought it. Now 6 or 7 years ago. It has to be 7 years ago because that's when I was filming that's when I was filming Patron Saint and Mediocrity. It might be it has to be 7 because that's when I was filming Patron Saint and Mediocrity. Going on 8 years. Holy cow. Time flies. Time flies. So I've had that computer for 8 years. It has crashed 4 times. It reaches some part in the hard drive that can't record, and it still tries to write over it instead of ignoring it. And I have never filled it up. It has a huge capacity, and when I talk about huge, I'm only talking a terabyte. But it has a huge hard drive capacity for me, for what I'm doing. Videos. The most many of my videos have ever been was 2 gigs. So then, having a terabyte hard drive, and the most that I'll ever produce is a 2 gig. 2 gig video, which I probably wouldn't keep on the hard drive. Then, and that's HD, and that's all the fun stuff that goes along with it. I'd like to get to doing HD. I don't like watching my videos and then getting pixelated. I don't like the capacity of this computer. Just, it actually shows its limitations. I think it wasn't the last Unscripted, but it was the Unscripted before, where I played back. I did a quote unquote review of my own videos, and you could see in those videos the deterioration of what I was listening to, comparing it to my speech, because what you're still listening to, what you're going to be listening to when you watch this video, because nobody's watching it live, but what you who are watching this video, what you're listening to is a deterioration of my voice, not, and usually more mechanical. It becomes more mechanical is probably the better way to put it. There's a lot of compensation that what gets recorded and how it reproduces it. That reproduction is not an equal copy of my voice now, and I have to attribute that, because like I said, listening, when I listen to, if I was an orc being played back with me talking and singing and doing, just so you know, I wasn't trying to interrupt and, make people feel weird about my singing and stuff like that. But you can see that the voice is the same, but it's also very, very, very different from the voice that the video plays. And when I hear myself back, I think that that's what you guys hear. That's what I think people hear when on this. And I also have my own, what my brain, my ears and everything like that, and then my brain interprets. I have my own interpretation of what that sound is, so that I can recreate it. And every time I try to mimic and everything like that, whatever device is recording me, I mean, I give credit where this microphone is due. This microphone is definitely, and you hear the earlier videos and stuff like that. Yeah, the mic is definitely much different, but I'm going to pat myself on the back a bit, because my voice is definitely a lot better. I bash on my voice a lot, but my voice is definitely a lot better than I could. I could not have dreamed that I would be in a million years. When I was in a band as the lead singer, I could never have dreamed that I would be making karaoke videos for people to listen to. I could never dream that what I write would be listened to, and what I write and put into song would be listening to. I thought I was going to be more poetry slam, more of a stand-up comedian, that type of deal. So like the fact that this exists is, and it's kind of started out as a joke, and let me push myself. Comfort zone is a really weird thing to do, and I use it kind of as a fallback when I say that I'm outside of my comfort zone. I'm not uncomfortable. I just try to be realistic and aware, and how the feedback, if it's really hard to explain that the expectation of my voice when I was younger, when I was doing theater, when I had a tutor, and I did sing, and especially musical theater and stuff like that, and I had voice lessons, and I went through all of the rigmarole, and la la lule la la lule lee. I did all of that, and I never saw the purpose of it. It has influenced my singing to a degree. So there is a learned or an experienced talent going on, as well as the raw natural talent that I have. And I'm using both of those terms very loosely. Because when I say talent, I don't mean that I am talented. It's a big difference. But as far as like what I'm producing, as far as what amazes me is that I think that what I'm actually creating, and with a crappy ass computer, but a decent mic, with a crappy ass computer, and I actually have a better mic that's on my HD camera. It's actually better than this mic. And I was actually tempted, instead of buying this mic, was just to use that, to have a better, build back better, have the better camera and stuff like that. But one of the problems is that camera is what it's going to produce film wise will blow this computer away. The graphics card on this computer can't handle it. And so that camera is this camera, the camera that you're watching me on right now is adequate. And I will do just adequate. I like tabletop games. Tabletop with Will Wheaton and the Geek and Sundry folk was absolutely awesome. And I had kind of hoped that I could revive it and bring in a bunch of people who are tabletop gamers, and especially weirdos like me, not just any tabletop gamer, but I'm not Will Wheaton. I don't need stars to torture who don't play tabletop games. But I would love to have a group of people that I'm not even in the same room with, playing a tabletop game. And anything could freaking be Monopoly or Pachisi or what the fuck else. It doesn't have to be one of my games. But I would love to do a tabletop game. I would love to do an RPG. A real RPG, not this on freaking computer stupidity and I don't get that. I don't understand it. I don't get it at all. People can and for that, not just people who like tabletop games, because it's like Dungeons and Dragons or any type of game like Dungeons and Dragons. It's not really a tabletop game. It's really an RPG. And not an MMO. Massive multiplayer online role-playing game. But when you're playing, when it's a role-playing game, I would like it to focus more on the ROLE as opposed to the ROLL. And somewhere along the lines, and even Gary Gygax knew back in the day that the imagination of the game, well, what he knew was that people's imagination, because this game exists, people will not have the imagination that needed to play this game to its fullest extent. So what he believed had to happen was he believed he had to give that to the people. He had to basically force your imagination. So if you look at from which was just original D&D to which became the basic and expert sets, to advanced Dungeons and Dragons, when you see the changeover from what he originally, I believe it was it TSR? I think it was TSR, not FASA. But when TSR was just pulling it out and doing this wonderful stuff and creating, when the world was happening around it, and I was, of course, a kid at the time, but when it actually it didn't break my heart, and I think I felt he underestimated people's ability to tell stories. And in turn, I think that he ended up being right. And I didn't think that the storytelling art was dead. And it obviously was. I think I was 14, maybe 15, when I first encountered what's known as a power gamer. And then I realized how many power gamers I've been around up until that point, including Steve White. But I gotta stop dropping names. Never mind that I don't know these people, don't know anybody, don't know creators. Met him at a convention. We had a talk. How about we put it that way? Let's say it that way. I think that's the better way to put it. Yeah, I was just talking. I made up the fact that I know. How's that? But hearing the things that they've said and stuff like that, because back in the day there was no Hall H at conventions. There was no separation. People don't realize like that whole part of the convention where you go into a theater and you sit into an uncomfortable seat for an hour or two and watch actors or creators prance around up on stage with a table in front of them so they can drink water and stuff like that. That didn't exist. There was nothing like that. There was no lines. There was no lines to get to creators at Comic-Con. That to me was insane when I first encountered that, because I'd been away. I went to Comic-Con, the earlier conventions, when it wasn't even really called Comic-Con. That was kind of more of a moniker. It was pretty much just the convention in San Diego. And they just kind of monikered it Comic-Con because that's what it was. It was a comic convention. Not a multimedia convention, not this stuff, but it got the name Comic-Con because people traded and bought and traded comic books. That's what it was there for. That was the main purpose of it. Artists and people associated with the comic book industry were all over it. There were some big stars came and stuff like that, but nothing major and stuff like that, and definitely not anything dealing with multimedia and anything beyond. People like Adam West and stuff like that used to show up to Comic-Con, and so you had people like that happening, but nothing in Burt Ward. I remember Roddy Piper was there one convention. Things like that. It was pretty cool. Cool stuff. Lou Ferrigno, things like those are the stars. Those are the types of stars that show up, and they were awesome. And you could actually have up close, personal. They were just as much into the what's going on, buying toys, buying comic books and stuff like that as anybody else. Posters were big. Lots of swag. I remember swag used to be like that. That used to be the big thing. I mean, I used to think that when you bought a $14 ticket and you paid $30 for a hotel room or freaking rat hole hotel room a night, for 4 nights, that was, you were like, I deserve swag for that. I don't even know how much, I can look that up. I don't know how much the ticket was, but I remember the last time I got tickets. Unfortunately, I knew people in the industry and I was part of the industry and stuff like that. So getting in free as an industry person, and I've been vendors, which that's a whole different cost. But I don't even know what the current cost. I know that our hotel room cost over $100 a night. All right. Badge per. Just give me a friggin' price. All right. Well. All I know is somebody told me how much they cost. I know it was over $100, and I was just like, freaking $100. Who the fuck is going to buck so that you can buy comic books? But it's not that anymore. You're not buying comic books. But yeah, I remember. Yeah. Comic-Con tickets can be found for as low as $58 with the average price of $90. And I think that might just be for a day. $100. I remember you think about like that think about that cost. For that price, for $90, I'm going to use $90. For $90, I could get my badge. They actually gave out tickets back in the day, which it went into a lanyard, but it was literally considered tickets because you had tickets for each day. I can get that plus my freaking hotel room. And yeah, that I could buy tickets to Comic-Con and a hotel room for the $90. I could do that whole thing for the cost of it. And I don't, like I said, I think it's $58 for a day. But it might be $90 for the 4 days. And then I think it's an extra charge for, they're all talking about how you can get cheap tickets. Buy early. That'll be the cheapest ticket you get. And why would you want to put yourself through this? I mean, you got to plan it a year in advance. And as soon as those room tickets go up, they were gone. They were already sold out. Comic-Con is definitely not something you do on a whim. Something you plan now. It's not like, oh, it's July, and Comic-Con's happening. Oh, look, you can win tickets to it. Imagine. I just laugh. Not to sound freaking ungrateful for what they do, because I mean obviously the ticket price is the multimedia part of Comic-Con, that the guests and stuff like that, and the those events. I talk about Hall H like a million times, and I don't even know if it is Hall H, but I know Hall H is like one of the funny things with. They have crap going on all the time. That's connected to this thing. I remember when Tron Legacy came out, and I was a vendor at the time. There was a lot of stuff that they had involved. Had an open bar that you could be a part of. That was stuff that was happening. There were parties going on. There was all this stuff happening. So I totally understand why the tickets are freaking expensive as hell. But it's not Comic-Con anymore. I mean, I think about like how many people don't realize that it's supposed to be comic books. That losers like me are the reason this whole convention exists. Comic book collectors are the whole reason this exists, and all the multimedia has doing. I think I'll give Webtoons a little credit for being comic books, being close enough to being a comic book. But the Anime Expo, came sprung up just because they just didn't have room for them anymore. I mean, I remember there was anime at Comic-Con. Well, manga. Anime is more of the more multimedia than the manga. But manga, you could buy all sorts of really crazy books, even hentai, all sorts of stuff, to your heart's content, and toys and body pillows and all that stuff. All that stuff used to exist at Comic-Con. and doesn't anymore. It's not even there. I remember going into the vendors as a vendor. I remember going into the vendor area and just being completely blown away by the fact that it's not even the vendor area is larger and not even half of the amount of vendors and stuff like that used to cram. I mean, I remember it was standing room only, and talking like only like maybe 1,000 people total at the entire convention, in this little tiny thing, and they had vendors. Your booth table was only an 8x2. You had an 8x8 square mapped into the thing. That's it. You didn't get double table. Or four, or taking over an area like Lucasfilm used to do, or Blizzard used to do. I mean, I think Blizzard used to freaking take over an entire section of it. But when you look at it, here it is. These things have taken over. DC and Marvel usually always had. I think Marvel wasn't even that big the last time I went, which blows my mind. But then again, the Marvel Studios, and then Marvel Comics, Marvel Entertainment. The Marvel Entertainment Group is owned by Disney. But what took up a lot of room, because they cram all when I first went there, like they used to cram everybody tight together. All the vendors were, like I said, the walk through, you could actually reach from one vendor across the way to the next vendor as you walk down. You could actually reach both tables. That's, what is that, 8 feet maybe? 6 feet? I forgot what is the distance? I don't know my wingspan. Got a pretty decent wingspan, so let's, whatever it is. And then you have, I think it's 2 feet. So we do 2 feet for 4 feet. Yeah. 2 feet plus 3 feet is 5 feet plus 3 feet, 8 feet. Yeah, that's 8 feet. 8 feet wingspan, and right to my fingertips. Maybe? I don't know. I'll have to measure it one of these days. But that was it. You could actually just tip your hand down like this. You can put your both hands down, and you would literally touch one vendor table to the next. That's how much walking space. That was what the aisles used to look like, because half the space was for autographs, and then you had sometimes 4 at a table, sometimes 2 at a table, but the same 8-foot table that the vendors had, and you had the artist all sequestered over to the other side of the room at a Comic-Con, and you could just gab, and talk, and nobody was the wiser. I mean, people used to play games, there's drinking parties, there was lots of freaking stuff going on. It was no real rules. Like I said, I remember it was $14 for $14 for 4 days. And $10 for an autograph, if they wanted to charge you. Sometimes they gave you the autograph for free if they liked the conversation they had. You can actually, talk with an artist, and he'll give you his autograph for free. And they sold comic books there too. The artists and stuff like that sold comic books right at their stations. They sold artwork. They sold this. They sold autographs. They sold lots of stuff. And the swag bag that you had, you could not. You could for $14. $14 and crashing with somebody at Comic-Con, which is what I ended up doing later, because I had a lot of fun at the first Comic-Con I went to. But basically sharing a hotel room. I mean, it literally was your plane ticket. Plane ticket to get out to California, and if you're already out in California, so much the better. They would always make me fly into LAX because a lot of people that I was going down to San Diego with lived in LA or around the LA area, and that's pretty much where everybody was converging, and everybody wanted to eat at the In-N-Out Burger right outside the airport. So that was one of the trade-offs. But yeah, lots of fun. I don't know how I got on talking about Comic-Con, but I miss it. But I want my old Comic-Con. It's like Warhammer 40K. I want what made the rules weren't great. The company was just starting out. It's not this big industry, money generator and stuff like that, and proprietary, and whatever the fuck else they consider themselves now. The rules were kind of half-assed if I really had to put it down to it. But the one thing that makes those crappy ass rules different from these overthought nerfing things and bringing things back just to basically make a buck. The one big difference between that and what it was originally is that was fun. The big emphasis on the game back in the day, like 40K, was it was meant to be fun. And yes, I was crazy. Yes, I was insane. Yes, I took things to the extreme. One day I'll tell the story of my first tournament game, but always I had fun. And it was like, it felt like, not it was like, but it definitely felt like over the years, all Games Workshop wanted to do was just basically, how can we make $1? And anything that's fun about this game is not generating money for us. So how can we monetize what these people have fun? And if we can't monetize, we take it out. And they have stripped it all away. It's not, people who have fun playing Warhammer 40K today, I'm just like going, how? But the truth of the matter is that people who are playing Warhammer 40K only have seen it when they basically destroyed the game, and they now just recently building it back because they absolutely, I mean, when I say that they went out of their way to take away the fun of the game, that's exactly what they did. They basically took everything out of it. They gutted it. They just made it so that all you were doing was attacking, defending, attacking, defending, attacking, defending. You weren't dealing with your lore. Everything that you made, each of the armies, the factions as I call them, each of the different armies and factions inside the game, anything that made them special, they stripped it away and called it fluff. When somebody first said that, oh, that's the fluff, because I'm a huge orc player. They're like, that's the fluff of the game, because orcs, orcs don't stop fighting. That's all they're looking for is a fight. That's just fluff. We don't deal with that fluff. These are your stats. Use the stats. And it's just the game's boring to me. It's like they literally modeled the main faction, which is the Space Marines. They just basically modeled out the Space Marines and just basically said, this is their Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine, Space Marine. Everything else, human or not, all just basically just a substandard Space Marine army. If you want to have more versatility and more things to do, you play Space Marines. If you want to be limited, you play a faction, something other than human. I am going to I'm going to probably go. It's an hour. An hour is good. I hope wherever you are, whenever you listen to this and hear this, I hope you get to this point, because you do mean a lot to me, and I'd like to thank you. Your time is valuable, not just to you, but to me, and I do value it. And it does definitely. I'm very grateful that you decided to waste your time with me. And I'm sorry for anybody who only watched, 10 minutes of this or 15 minutes of this, or if you're my troll, 2 seconds. They've gotten that down to a science. But yeah, if you only watched it for 2 seconds, I mean, obviously, I'm sorry you missed it. I'm sorry that I'm sorry you couldn't find what you liked in my video. But for people who made it this far, I'm very happy, and I really hope the best for you. I hope everything is going well. I hope that you're happy. And I definitely hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that I, made you smile and, maybe made you think a little bit. Yeah, maybe not, but maybe we'll, I'm just gabbing here, and most of this is going to get cut out of the shorter videos. I mean, you saw that I had a 50-minute video that I only made 2 videos out of, and one is only a minute and a half long, and the other one is 3 minutes long. So out of 50 minutes, I only used 10%, and 90% just completely. Yes, there's a minute of just my chair, and I wasn't even there, but that's beside the point. I did talk about a lot of things, so, and the only bit I've used. And now, if you really think about it, and this is where it gets even kind of crazier, these are all about an hour long. I think I did one 2-hour long, and I think I did a couple half-hour long ones. So let's just say average about an hour for an unscripted. And out of the hour, all I have is 5 minutes of videos that I've pulled out of it. So that's got to say something, There's definitely stuff that I've already said, and said probably multiple times. And I'd like to do the tired video. I think that would be fun to do, because three of these videos. Is it 3 or 4? 3 or 4 of these videos. I think I only missed one day, so four videos. I am butt ass tired, and it shows. And I think that making a compilation video of that would be fun to have. Maybe. I hope you liked that, but I hope you enjoyed this. And we're just going to leave it at that. And we're just going to say cool beans. And take care.